Hi, I'm Akiva Goldman from Goldman and Associates. Today, I want to give you the lawyer's perspective on reasons not to get divorced. Now, by way of context, let me say this. I'm not talking about a situation where there is domestic violence or drug abuse or sexual abuse or something like that. If that is occurring in your life, come to an expert and get divorced. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm discussing a situation where people have children, they've been in a relationship for a while, and maybe things aren't working out so great. Maybe it's nothing specific, but you don't like the way he's treating you, she's not being so nice as she used to be, and you're kind of thinking maybe you'll get divorced. People come to us all the time like that. It's usually not so egregious. It's usually not where somebody's beating up somebody or something like that. The reasons for divorce are not as salient as one might think. More often than not, these are simply people who have drifted apart. If you've drifted apart and you don't have kids, continue drifting for all the court cares, because you're an adult, you made this decision, go on with your life, that's fine. However, if you have children and you're in a situation where you think that maybe you're looking to get a divorce and you want to drift apart, I encourage you to do this with your eyes open, because if you think it's going to be so rosy once this is accomplished, you're mistaken. You have to remember one thing. It's not always about the process of getting divorced. It's about what's going to happen to you and what your life is going to be like after divorce. You know, you can go to a surgeon and he can pull out your gallbladder. But the key that distinguishes between a surgeon who's a surgeon and a surgeon who's a shoemaker is, how is your life after the procedure? Have you been able to heal and go on with your life in a seamless manner, or do you have all sorts of complications? In divorces like this, where you have children, you got to go in with your eyes open, because you got to be aware of the complications. And as lawyers, it's our job to make sure that clients know this. I have specialized knowledge because I, unlike you, have not been involved in one divorce or maybe two. I've been involved in 1,000 of them over the last over 30 years, 33 years now. So I have certain information that I want to give to you. And it's like if you go to a lawyer and you're going to make an investment of some sort and you ask him, should I do it? It's not about whether or not the investment will just go up over the next few months. If that lawyer has information that says that after the first few months the thing's going to plummet into the ground, wouldn't you want him to tell you that? Of course you would. He'd be remiss in his duties if he didn't tell you that. This is the same thing. A lot of times you get divorced, lawyers will say, oh, don't worry, you'll be happier, you'll be this, you'll be that. And maybe you will for the first few months, but you've got to know what the whole picture is down the road in order to know whether or not it makes sense to go into this procedure. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about surviving the divorce experience. First of all, you have to realize there's going to be a huge impact on your children, okay? When I was in grade school, and I'm in my 50s, so that was quite a while ago, there was basically one, maybe two kids in my class who were the product of a broken home. Everybody else came from a home where there was a mother and father, they were married, and that was it. You never really thought, and it was never in my radar, will my parents get divorced? Kids weren't thinking like that. Nowadays, my children go to school in a class where half the parents are divorced. In this day and age, kids are just waiting for the other shoe to drop on divorce, and they walk around and they're thinking about that, and it's within their radar. And that causes a mindset. Now, when you get divorced, your kids are going to have that impact on them. The impact of now being from that broken home. The impact of now being a statistic. It's going to impact them and how they relate with parents, and now they have to divide up and pick sides. It's going to impact the parents and how they deal with the children. You're going to now have to schedule time with your kids because mom has the kids on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you have Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, perhaps. Is that what's going on? Do you really want to schedule time with your kids? You know, as adults, we do schedule certain things in our lives. They're usually unpleasant things, like root canals and colonoscopies. Is that how you want your relationship to be with your kids? You're going to schedule them now like an appointment? And what does it allow you to be as a parent? As a parent, one of the things kids always appreciate, even if you're not happy with them all the time, they appreciate the reality of who you are, your ups and your downs. Sometimes you're mad at them, sometimes you're happy with them. The post-divorce scenario is very artificial. If mom runs a police state, you always see dad, he's running Disneyland. The kids come to him and he's got to turn his way and turn his attention away from whatever bad thing they do because he doesn't want it to be reported back to mom. If it's a question of a 16-year-old getting a car, then it doesn't become a joint decision between mom and dad. It becomes a scenario like, Dad, can I get a car? Mom says she's okay with it as long as you're okay with it. And in other words, there's a playing of both ends against the middle. This is going to go on in your household. It's going to change who you are. It's going to change you from being the real person who is sometimes the disciplinarian and who is sometimes the friend to pick one side or another and always act a certain way lest you be reported to the other parent. And now you have problems with the court. So it's going to change that. And it's going to make your kids master manipulators as they play you against your wife. It's going to be a very, very challenging situation. And if you're going to go into it, you better have your eyes open. Now, I had a client who called me recently, somebody whose divorce I presided over years ago. And it was amazing because he and his ex, they seemed to get along great. And I met both parties, and the ex seemed to be a nice girl, and I knew my client very well, and from what I could tell, they just sort of drifted apart. And they had a young child, and hopefully it'll be fine. I thought to myself, gee, their divorce is better than most people's marriage. I was very impressed with how they conducted themselves. And in the post-divorce relationship, Dad always saw the child. It was really never a problem. Everything worked out smoothly. The mother remarried, which created a situation where, now she was sort of, the ex-wife was kind of out of his hair, so all he had to deal with was the child. And throughout the whole time, he was getting along very well with the child, working together with the mother, having nice parenting time, never ever thought there was a problem. Until you know what happened? Daughter grows up. Daughter starts dating. And now the daughter is getting married. All of a sudden, all the venom comes out. All of a sudden, what he didn't realize was over the years, while she was acting nice to him, she was marginalizing who he was in the eyes of their child. And what she was saying was, and you wouldn't believe this mother actually told this girl that the mother is the natural parent, and the daughter is from the mother, but the relationship to the father was marginal, and that he was the bio dad. Have you ever heard this? Bio dad. That's all he was the person who fathered the child. But the real relationship is with the stepfather. In other words, the effort was made to really substitute who the father was by having this stepfather stand in. And when it came time to the wedding, you know what happened? He told me a horrible story. He said that they were making arrangements. Mother didn't work with him, with the father, to make a wedding for the daughter. They were completely singled out. The father was able to invite just his family while the mother had 200 guests. And guess what? He was not permitted to walk his daughter down the aisle. And guess who did? That stepfather masquerading as the father while this person walked down with the mother, acting to everybody like he was the father. And the real father, he was relegated to a seat in the crowd. This is horrible. This is everybody's nightmare. It's everybody's nightmare that some stranger is going to end up playing a prominent role in your child's life. And that is what is likely to happen in a scenario where you get divorced. You don't like the way the husband's doing things? How are you going to like it when his girlfriend is picking up your child from school? How are you going to like that? You got a problem, with your wife. She develops a boyfriend. All of a sudden, he's calling the shots. A total stranger raising your kid. How are you going to like that? Let me tell you something. My parents were married for 55 years, okay? And on the occasion of their 47th anniversary, I came to the house to wish them happy anniversary, and my mom was sitting there in the kitchen nursing a cup of coffee, and I sat down, and I said, Mom, happy anniversary, and she was very smiling, very happy, and I said to her, wow, 47 years, that's pretty good. She said, yeah, that is pretty good. I said, tell me, Mom, Did it feel like 47 years? And she says to me, every bit of it. And I couldn't believe it. I said, what are you talking about? What kind of thing is that to say? And she said to me, look, do you think it's easy for people to be married 20, 30, 40 years? It's not so easy. If it was so easy, everybody would do it. She said, it's not so easy. And she went on to tell me, and she said, me and your father, we had challenges like everybody else does. We had health challenges, there's relationship challenges, challenges with the kids, financial challenges, all the beautiful things that people have when they've been together for a long time and they have children. But she said something very important. She said, through it all, and she gave me at that time the formula. She said, through it all, we struggled, we persevered, and we prevailed. That's the formula, folks. You're going to have trouble with your marriage. You're going to have trouble, especially as it relates to children. But when you have children, you don't throw in the towel. You know, we live in a disposable society. Everything's disposable. I got an iPhone 11. That means there's 10 prior in a matter of a couple years. People don't buy cars anymore. They lease them. 2 years, they throw them away. Everything is disposable, including marriage, but it shouldn't be. Because when you have children, you've got greater responsibility. And you don't want to lose your kids. And you don't want some stranger walking them down the aisle. And you don't want some woman calling the shots at the doctor's office instead of you. You want to raise your own kids. Therefore, you struggle, you persevere, and then prevail. Thank you.